we are back for the last top 2 of our top 5 dead or alive movies of all time, plus some honorable mentions just to keep things interesting.
That's right. So we do a few honorable mentions first.
Yeah, should we start off with honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Oh man,
bro, I've been we live in that sedentary lifestyle for a while this morning.
Yeah, dude, it's worse than smoking. I've heard.
Bro, I've heard. All right, so do you want me to... So anyway, yeah, if you haven't seen the first part, I mean, you can still watch this. This is just going to be our top 2, 1 and 2, and also some honorable mentions of our top 5 dead or alive movies. So some of these are dead, some of these are alive.
Go on, Vincent.
All right, so... I put 6 stars on here. That's why I stitched myself
6
up.
stars?
I put 6 stars.
Well, like Grand Theft Auto, like armies after you.
No, as in I put stars against the ones that were going to be in the top 5, and I put 6 of them.
Okay.
So I'll tell you the one that just missed out.
That also like makes me question reality. What do you mean by you put 5 stars but you meant to put 6 of them? You're saying that like,
as in there was a star on every movie that I was putting in my top 5, but I've put 6 stars.
Okay.
So there's 6 movies instead of 5.
I see.
Yeah. So there's tanks and everything after me, bro. I'm lucky the windows are shut.
Oh, I'm happy.
So the one that just missed out was Whiplash.
Dude, Whiplash is an intense, but also great movie.
Yeah, so it's intense, and I think the one thing I didn't put it in the top 5 because I hadn't watched it in a while, and I've been meaning to rewatch it for a fair time, but I just haven't made the time to do that. So I didn't want to put it in there because I wasn't 100% sure, but that's an unbelievable movie.
Whiplash is a great movie because it's one of those things, it's one of those movies where it does what a horror movie wants to do, and it wants to make you feel uncomfortable at all times. It never wants you to be comfortable where you are because you don't know what's going to happen to the characters. You don't know if the character that you want to succeed, which is Miles Teller's character,
you got no idea,
do the right things, or even if he is going to succeed in the end.
That's right, because I mean, in this story, Miles Teller, I can't remember what his name is in the movie, but he wants to be in the band, in the session, the number 1 band of this, I think it's a university or something, and J.K. Simmons is, the hard man. He's the conductor.
Yeah.
And he needs everything to be absolutely spot on. Yeah. Otherwise then, bro, you're out. Like, you played the wrong note, get out of this room. You'll never see your face here again. That's
exactly right. And there's a scene early on where they first meet where J.K. Simmons is like, oh, sorry, it's just not at my tempo. I'm wondering if you can like bring it up. And you're like, oh, okay. And then he's like, stop again. It's just not at my tempo. And that happens to the point where you're like, okay, is this going to like,
we're just going to keep doing this?
And you realize what J.K. Simmons as a character, or who J.K. Simmons as a character is.
Yeah, it's crazy because, I mean, it's an abusive relationship that he has. And J.K. Simmons, I mean, you understand that he wants to get the best out of Miles Teller because he sees that there is a spark there. There's something there that he can build on, but he's going about it the wrong way.
And for Miles Teller's character, he's like, I need to get perfection so that I can finally impress this person.
That's right. He wants the validation from J.K. Simmons. And I think one of the big things that makes me connect with this movie is because, I mean, I played soccer for my whole life, essentially, up until a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. And I always not to the point that, I mean, I wasn't as good as Miles Teller is in this situation. I wasn't the top of the session musicians or whatever.
You were quite good.
I was all right. I was, I'd
say you're better than
I'd say I was above average.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be a great soccer player. That was one of my dreams when I was growing up. And there was a few times where I had a coach who was not the same, but was very, he would yell, he would say, what are you doing? You got to do better here. This is what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, me as a person, I don't respond well to just getting yelled at, and because I'll just get down and I'll just be upset and I'll just go, bro, I can't do anything right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the right environment for me. And that was a time there was a few years of that. And it made me strongly dislike playing soccer. And it made me dislike going to training, and I was just dreading it. I was just getting anxiety.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, this movie it's not the same, but it's, aspects of that are similar to what I experienced.
Yeah.
And the end of the movie where he's just there and he's just slamming away on the drums. He's just playing whatever. He's not, he
plays Whiplash.
That's right.
He ends up turning over the sheet and it's another piece of music that he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So he just sticks it to J.K. Simmons.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, that was it. And then he's going, bro, I don't even care at this point. I'm doing this for me.
Yeah, that's right. And just to reflect on your career in the soccer world, I remember where there was that change where you're just like, I just want to play soccer just to enjoy playing soccer.
Just for me.
Just for you.
I just want to have fun, which is what I'm doing right now.
That's exactly right. And I think, for anyone who's in that similar situation in which you had something that you really, really enjoyed, and then for any reason, for whatever reason it happens to be, that changed. You don't need to continue with that. You might miss out on... It's hard
because, in those years, I was going, okay, sometimes I would have a really good game.
Yeah.
And the coach would be like, oh, man, you did really well. Like, and you go, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
I want this again. And then, it's a whole lot of yelling and then...
Yeah. But I think it's hard to find it, but once you find that there's value in what you're doing outside of making someone else see the positives of what you've done, where you find that within yourself, that's when you can truly enjoy something.
That's right.
And that is what that whole movie's about. But also, that's one of the best movies of all time, which I've only watched once.
Yeah, that's right. Me too.
It's too anxiety provoking.
I know. I think it's because it brings up a lot of feelings for me. So I've got I want to watch this, but I don't want to watch it.
Yeah. And just the length that character goes through to get to things.
Man gets in a car accident and he still rocks up.
He runs there, doesn't he? At the end?
Yeah, and he's bleeding. And he's just like, bro, I've got to do this, and he's still mad. J.K. Simmons is still mad.
That's wild. An honourable mention to bring it to. I'm on a completely right turn here.
Okay,
is Hot Rod, 2007's very own Hot Rod.
Yeah, that's right. No. Very similar though. Very similar themes.
Very similar themes in the fact. I guess that's true.
Yeah, because he's trying to just impress his
stepdad.
His stepdad, bro. He's just like, I'm going to raise money so you can beat cancer, so I can kick your ass. Which is a hilarious premise.
That's too funny, man.
And see, that's like a movie that would have been in my shortlist.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's for and to be honest with you, I didn't put those things together. I just saw it as a slapstick comedy that makes me laugh. And the guy had curly hair. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying a right turn. I didn't realize the similarities, but there are many similarities. Hot Rod is a movie that I've watched more than any other movie.
I would say I've probably watched it a fair few times.
There was a period during school where that movie meant so much to me because regardless of how bad my day was, I could go home and there was a week during school where I watched it every single night. Of that week, I watched it every single night because every single time it brought out so much joy and happiness that I was like, there's
so many great parts of that movie.
And it's one of those movies where you watch it and you forget about something and it kills you. Like you die of laughter.
And it's also one of the movies where you can watch it countless times and you laugh at different things and just different little tiny bits that, someone will just say a line, you go, bro, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Like pools are great for holding water. That's a line from this movie, but it's just a throwaway line.
That's right. It doesn't actually mean anything, but when you watch a movie so many times, you hear that and you appreciate that and you're going, they put that in there and it fits the characters perfectly.
I might have to, I've got it. It's funny because I got it on DVD at home, but I got it from Greece. And because now with the updated DVD players and whatnot, they're specific to a certain region, so they block out. Yeah. So I can't actually watch that. So I'm gonna have to look up right now where I can watch that.
Yeah, look that up right now. We're not doing anything important.
Dude, I'm just gonna buy it on Amazon Prime. Or rent it. It's like $2.99. I'm just gonna do it.
Just rent it. You get that for like a week or a month or something, so you can just smash it.
Yeah, I might just watch it this week.
Yeah.
Have you got another honourable mention for me?
Yeah, okay.
Should we just do honourable mentions this episode?
We can just talk about movies that we like. That's how I felt like after the last one about the games. I just want to talk about video games that I like.
I could go into depth with a lot more video games.
Yeah. Oh, me too. So Rush Hour.
Yeah, right. Classic.
That was a movie where I was going, why have I never seen Chris Tucker before this time in my life? I mean, Jackie Chan's amazing.
Yeah.
He's just hitting people with chairs and he's jumping over couches and then...
The artistry of Jackie Chan in using his environment to his advantage.
Oh, it's amazing. And pairing with Chris Tucker, you got a Corvette, a C3 Corvette, which is one of my favorite cars because of that movie. Honestly, it's just a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's just a fun movie. Some things don't hold up today, but you know.
But it plays on the idea of a fish out of water.
Yeah.
It's a fish out of water scenario, but the fish who's out of the water is actually the most competent person.
Yeah.
Like Jackie Chan is in that space. He's the most competent person.
Yeah.
He's meant to be there. He just happens to be in America.
Yeah. It is funny because it's almost like the first one is Jackie Chan's out of his element. Then the second one is Chris Tucker's out of his element. And the third one, they're both
out of their element.
Out of their element.
The third one, in my opinion, is trash, but I don't know.
I
know you enjoy that.
I like all of them. I just think they're fun movies.
But that first movie, I remember watching that, and similarly to you, and my brother as well, we ended up falling in love with. Obviously, we loved Jackie Chan. For us, Jackie Chan.
But Jackie Chan was already in a lot of things, so you loved him before that.
But for Chris Tucker, he was new to us in that, and we ended up watching so many different Chris Tucker movies.
I know,
including Money Talks.
Talks. Oh man, that's another one.
Which I know is a movie that probably a lot of people haven't watched, but is hilarious. Like
Charlie Sheen and Chris Tucker.
Charlie Sheen and Chris Tucker. How do you get that pairing?
Oh man,
how do you get that pairing?
That's a movie I've got to watch. Again.
Yeah.
I'll just name a few here. Captain Phillips. If you want to be literally sitting on the edge of your seat for almost 2 hours, that's the movie to watch.
This is I'm the Captain now?
This is I'm the Captain. One of the greatest memes to ever do it.
Yeah. But
one of the greatest films, just because the intensity of the film is, I have never seen anything like it. It's literally the whole film. You get about 10, 15 minutes at the start, and the rest is you're just tense.
Yeah. Because
it's just a tense film.
A movie that I love, and again has that is a recent movie. It's one that I've watched this like 4 or 5 times as well. Is Parasite.
Parasite. I haven't seen that.
So
I gotta watch that.
Parasite is one of the the fact that it's not on my list is a bit of a travesty. Yeah. It was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Parasite was going to go on there.
Okay.
And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood went on there for sentimental reasons.
I was about to say it's got the sentimental.
But Parasite is a movie, and I'll get into it when I talk about my number one. But Parasite is a movie that fits into every genre, and you can sit there and watch it from a different perspective each time and still enjoy it. You can look at it from a comedy movie. You can look at it from a horror movie. You can look at it from, you can sit down and say, look at it from a, do a study on the differences in class and how this presents
the social classes is prevalent.
Yes.
In that film.
Everything in that movie just feels like they knew exactly what they were doing. And as all movies, good movies are, they pieced everything together so perfectly.
Yeah.
That it just, from start to finish, you're enthralled, but also it's a movie that you continue to think about even after you're done, which is why I've watched it like 4 times, because I'm like, oh man, like I need to see this again. I need to do that again.
Yeah, that's a number 1 on my list of movies to watch.
Yeah. Well, dude, come over. I got it on Blu-ray. We can watch it together.
You got it on Blu-ray? And
I'll be like, bro, this is the bit that I was talking about. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry, bro.
All right. So, Baby Driver.
I haven't seen Baby Driver.
That's got I think, probably my favorite opening scenes of a movie ever.
Is that the car chase?
Yeah, but the car chase to the music that he's playing, I just love that, because I'm a man who loves to feel like I'm in a movie and I've got the music that I'm listening to, try to fit it with what I'm doing or something and the mood. And Baby Driver is one where you've just got the music to go along with the movie, and it just fits so well. Uh-huh. And it actually fits with the character of
Baby.
Baby.
Is that his name?
Baby.
I've never seen
that is his name.
Right.
It is his name. So that's killer movie.
Yeah. You brought up Evil Dead in the last episode, so I'm going to bring it up. Evil Dead 2 is one of the best movies of all time, one of the best horror movies of all time. It is a wild movie. It is very much a movie in which...
Oh, it's absolutely a wild movie.
You can see that Sam Raimi of Spider-Man fame and also of Evil Dead fame, of course, finally got the budget to do the movie that he really wanted to do.
Yeah, because Evil Dead 1 was very low budget.
And Evil Dead 1 was presented as a horror movie, and it is a good movie, but it was presented as a straight up horror movie.
Yeah,
no comedy, really any comedy elements into it. But it was a movie that you would present to someone to be like, this is what I can do. If you give me money, I can then put my own spin on this.
Yeah. See, I think Evil Dead, or one of the Evil Deads, was one of the first horror movies that I watched.
We watched Evil Dead 1 together. That was the first time that I watched it as well.
Yeah, so that was interesting because I thought it was going to be horror, and I thought I was going to be scared because I didn't think I'd like horror movies.
Yeah.
But that was just a hilarious movie.
Are we talking about Evil Dead 1 or Evil Dead 2?
Right, I don't know which one. I just remember, I'm pretty sure both of them I found...
You found funny.
Pretty funny.
Evil Dead 1 I found is like, it gives me the shivers, but Evil Dead 2 is hilarious. Plus it spawned Army of Darkness, which is another hilarious movie in which he goes back in time. And it spawned the TV show, Ash vs. Evil Dead, plus a reboot of the Evil Dead series called Evil Dead, which is a like horrifying movie.
Yeah, I think I've seen the reboot as well. Did you watch the reboot together?
Probably.
I don't think I would have watched it by myself.
I remember watching it by myself for the first time, and I was like, I've made a mistake. Like the first 2 minutes of that movie, it starts off and you're like, bro, what's going to happen here? And then you just like, nah.
Hold up.
And you just go like this, you're like, nah, man, I've made a mistake here watching this by myself. This is too scary. But again, that's a good movie to watch with people. You know, one of those, the good thing about horror movies is they're movies that, although they're good to watch by yourself because it adds to the scariness of it, they're great to watch with people just to feel that reaction with others.
Yeah.
Which is, I'll quickly just rattle off. Conjuring is also up there.
Conjuring. You're a big horror movie man.
And there's also, those are horror movies that now that I'm at an age where I can go to the theaters and watch a horror movie there.
Yeah.
It's a horror movie which I've experienced it along with a whole, like a cinema full of people screaming and
that's wild.
covering their eyes just as you are. Like, right? It's great. It's a great experience. Do you think we're ready to get into it?
I'm just going to rattle off a few more.
Rattle off.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh.
You know, I love a good world. I love to be dropped in and immersed into a good world. Mad Max, it does it. It absolutely does it. Shutter Island and Inception.
Yeah.
Two more. Is Shutter Island Christopher Nolan?
No, that's Martin Scorsese.
Scorsese. Unbelievable movies. But Shutter Island is another one where you get to the end and you go, bro, what the...
Yeah.
I love movies where there's, the twist ending and then it's not what you expect.
And speaking of Dark Knight, it's got a very similar like ending quote. It's the same sort of line as you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Oh, bro. Just got goosebumps.
Yeah, Shutter Island's good. I'm going to quickly say Shaun of the Dead. And,
Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz.
And even The World's End.
World's End.
Hilarious, great movies. And
Shaun of the Dead is hilarious.
Shaun of the Dead is too, like... and that's another one of those movies where you rewatch it and you find the little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those movies especially. The Cornetto trilogy. Okay, so I Am Legend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, classic.
Unbelievable. Logan.
Oh, one of the best. We talked about probably the best comic book movie. This would have to be in the top 3.
This would have to be. This would definitely be in the top 3 for me. The Transporter.
The
Transporter. Dude, that series I loved.
Anything Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. Oh my goodness. It was a point in time where I just watched anything that Jason Statham made and I loved it all.
And you enjoyed it because
I loved it all.
Jason Statham is a great leading man.
Exactly.
He's angry. He's able to do his own martial arts as well.
He's
British. He's bold.
He's bold and British.
And he's got hair on his chest as well,
Oh, absolutely. And he flipped the car and hooked C4 off of it. No one else could do that.
No,
they had other actors in that movie. They did the whole movie and they got to that part and they just couldn't do it. No. Jason Statham rocked up. He was just in the vicinity.
The good thing about Jason Statham is he's created these movies that are great movies, right? That aren't necessarily financially successful or like really, really popular, but there's a portion of people who love those movies. For example, the Crank movies. You've got like The Mechanic. You've got like all those other random movies that he's done that if you talk to someone, they'll be like, oh yeah, dude, I watched that. That was great. Yeah. Because it's just Jason Statham assassinating people.
That's right.
Or stopping people from being assassinated or,
Or transporting someone.
Or falling out of a plane on fire and like, going to heaven.
What a wild ride.
Let me just quickly rattle off
Doing a lot of rattling.
Bruce Lee movies.
Yeah.
because Fist of Fury is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Again, this is one that got shafted from this list, but it is. I think if you're going to watch a Bruce Lee movie, I would say watch Fist of Fury because it shows that Bruce Lee movies are not just about fighting and martial arts. There's actually a greater story, and what Bruce Lee did for Chinese men in particular during that time was really important to show that, because, as a Western culture, a lot of people believe that Chinese people were weak and they were, people who were very quiet and they didn't want to disturb anyone. But the reality is Chinese people are just people, just like anyone else. There's going to be people who are warriors in there. There's going to be people who are the smart ones who don't speak as much but do the things in the background. This movie shows that you shouldn't bring someone down just because they've got a name behind them, whether that be, Australian, whether that be Greek, Italian, whatever it happens to be. You got to get to know those people before you start trying to change their world. Yeah. One of the greatest movies of all time.
One of the greatest movies.
Yeah.
Final one I'm going to say is Arrival.
Bro, Denis Villeneuve, man, he is
man.
Arrival. Man,
It's very similar to Interstellar and Shutter Island, as in, bro, it's just a circle.
Yeah.
I mean, Arrival probably, I would say Interstellar did it unbelievably, but Arrival did it better.
Arrival, again, a movie that I've seen a couple of times, but the first time I went and saw it by myself in the theater.
That's wild.
It was a uni day. I was like, you know what? I want to achieve this. I want to achieve this goal of going to a movie by myself.
Yeah.
Because one, that's an anxiety-provoking thing to go up and just be like, can I have one ticket? And they'd be like, you ain't got no friends. Like, I'm just here to enjoy it myself.
Yeah.
And I sat in there. There was only 3 people other than me in the cinema. And one of them was watching it by themselves. Another one was a couple. And that movie, I don't know if it was just because I watched it by myself, but it was so visually striking.
Oh, it is. It is a visually striking movie.
As the movie goes along, as you said, it's a circle, and it's something that it brings up a lot of themes, a lot of similar to Interstellar. What are we putting at risk in order to support?
Oh, it's just
the greater
amazing
good.
Because doesn't she get the phone calls?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's her set. Oh, I'm getting shivers. I'm getting goosebumps. We got anyway. That was very close to being in.
And also, Amy Adams, just amazing actor.
Amy Adams. Forgot. I couldn't think of the name last night. I was talking to people about it. But
we've got who you talking to? Your partner?
No.
Who you talking to, bro?
You're not talking to anyone.
All right, let's get into this.
Let's get into it. All right, so
we could just do another. This could be just a 30-minute episode of us doing.
I know. All right, am I doing the second number 2?
Yeah,
all right.
You start
Can you guess what is my number 2?
Is it Blade Runner?
It's not. It's.
I don't know.
It's a superhero movie.
A superhero movie.
Yeah.
It's not Civil War.
It's not Civil War. You got one more guess.
I got one more guess. I'm going to say it is Into the Spider-Verse.
Incorrect.
Oh, man.
It's Avengers Infinity War.
Yes. Yeah.
Avengers Infinity War is my second favorite movie of all time.
I should have guessed that, given that you didn't bring it up in the rattling off.
That's right. Didn't rattle off. Wasn't in the 3. Into the Spider-Verse was a contender.
Bro, we're talking low batteries over here.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking low batteries. We're on 20% here.
We're on 20%. All right. So what? So
we just experienced some technical difficulties. We're back.
So what did I say? Oh, Infinity War.
Infinity War. Yes.
The thing that made this one so good for me is not only that it was the culmination of 11 years or however many years of superhero movies that I have loved, basically every single one of them. Mm-hmm. It was also the experience in the cinema. And we saw this the same, we were in the same cinema.
We were.
Some might say that we went to it together.
Yeah, and we sat next to each other.
And honestly, bro, what a movie, honestly. The whole thing of you bring everyone together and you think, okay, this is going to be Infinity War part 1. We knew it was a 2-parter. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is going to be part 1. Maybe Thanos he'll just get 2 of the stones. He'll get 3 of the stones. Yeah. Plus his own stones. And then that's it for this movie.
Because they did a good job, as Marvel always does. In the trailers, they showed bits where you're like, oh, this is a bit that's going to happen later in the movie, and he only has 1 stone at that point.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Bro, they CGI'd it.
They just CGI'd the stones.
Because he had all the stones. So that part, I mean, that whole not knowing what was going to happen or expecting that this is a two-parter, we're not going to get the whole... He's not going to snap his fingers, obviously, because, you know, they've got to save the universe. But little did we know, my man's got all the stones.
He got them all.
My man's got all the stones. And, I mean, that was one of the parts that made it so great because it was just so unexpected. But also the fact that it was very much from Thanos' perspective, a lot of it.
Yeah.
He was the main character of this film. And I love when they put the bad guy there in perspective.
And I think what this movie did a lot better than Endgame was that in Endgame, Thanos became an evil character. He was just like, I just want to do this because I want to cause suffering to you guys. I want to do this because I don't like what you guys do.
Yeah, which fit with the overall 2-movie span because that
also,
part...
it's a different guy as well.
That's right. It was a whole different... You know, that was 12 years ago. You know, in space-time, that might have been like 11 and a half. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But... And yeah, he's obviously mad that these people were messing things up for him. He's just gone, bro, I want to just kill you guys. That's it. But in this other one, well, in Infinity War, you go through and you can see his perspective. You obviously don't agree with it because, you know, it's dumb. And genocide is genocide.
Yeah.
So the change of perspective to the villain. Because there hadn't been a lot of films that had Black Panther come out before that. I think it had 2018, wasn't it? Anyway, it had
because
I think
they were in Wakanda, and I think Wakanda had been set up.
Yeah, I think it was 2018 that. But there hadn't been a real. I mean, that one there was a little bit of Killmonger as the hero of his own story kind of thing, but I didn't think they did that very well. But Thanos, you could really see his perspective and what he was doing to get there. And he didn't, I mean, look, it didn't seem like he enjoyed a lot of the stuff he did. The second one, he probably did.
Yeah. But the fact that he had to kill his own daughter to get what he wanted.
That's right. And you really do feel for him because he's not doing this because, this is just, I clock in.
He doesn't want power out of this.
No, that's right. He thinks it'll bring balance because he saw what it did to his own home planet.
He saw what he did to Titan. He saw that although he tried to stop it from happening, they prevented it from happening, rightfully so, because they didn't want him to kill half the planet.
Yeah.
And he sort of said, look, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do this. Didn't work. They ended up dying. So he's like, I need to do this to save the rest of humanity, which is wild.
Yeah. The rest of the universe.
The rest of the universe. That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just... That whole thing was wild. Spider-Man in this movie, Peter Parker was amazing.
Yeah. When
he died, I was crying. I was damn near tears.
Yeah.
That was so sad.
And that was that movie going experience, as you said, you could hear a pin drop in that audience once the snap happened because everyone was like, what does this mean? What is this going to do?
That's right.
What is half the universe going to look like? How is it going to happen? Because you didn't know that they would become dust.
No. I had no idea that was even going to happen. And when he got all the stones, I was going, bro, are you serious?
And then you see Thor come in, you're like, oh no, he'll be all right. That will be all right.
The whole Thor story, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because you'd seen his kind of a bit of an arc in Ragnarok. And then he lost his hammer. He ain't got his hammer. He ain't got no eye. Now, he's going to forge axes. Groot's there.
Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon, who's hilarious. I love him as a character. Just amazing. Them interacting with the Guardians of the Galaxy. The two kind of stories that were playing at the same time. Oh, man. More than two stories, I guess, because they all go to...
Well, and the fact that they're able to link... And the fact that they're able to create such a big movie, link in all these different stories, which are relevant and are related, but to make that work. And the fact that Marvel were able to make this 11 or 10-year story work so well and so seamlessly at points is just a testament to like how much pre-planning would have had to go into it.
Yeah, I think that was almost the most satisfying part of that. You're going, how can they do this? How can they put in all these characters, give them the time that they need, and still produce a succinct movie? I mean, it was still 2.5 hours or whatever it is.
But it didn't feel like that. And it also didn't feel like that. It also didn't feel bloated by characters.
It felt it felt, honestly, I don't know if they could make it. Of course they could have, but to my eyes, I don't think they could have made a better movie.
Like when you look at, the Justice League, when you look at especially the Joss Whedon one, that's a movie in which they've got all these characters, these great characters. They all feel underutilized.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh man, like it's because there's too many of them in this one space. But Marvel were able to show that it doesn't matter.
30 characters or something in there.
And even though there is so many characters, it doesn't feel like you're dredged down by all of that.
Everyone gets the time they need.
Yeah. The other thing just about the theater-going experience was when Spider-Man dies and he's feeling it. No one else feels it happening because
he's got Spidey senses.
And he's slowly going and he apologizes because he wasn't meant to be there.
He wasn't meant to be there.
As that was heartbreaking. And I remember us leaving and we didn't even talk until you dropped me back at my house. And the other great thing about that was when we saw the 1-star review, and there was that person who wrote a 1-star review, and it was one of the first reviews that popped up. Because we were like, how could anyone not make this movie, like give this movie a good review?
Yeah. And
we saw this 1-star review and we read it all and we were absolutely roasting this bloke. I was saying, oh, he's just doing this just to like get the clicks.
How dare he? How dare he?
Obviously we didn't, because you shouldn't. You got technical difficulties?
I got low power mode as well on that film.
Bro. Did you not have them plugged in or something?
No, I did. They were on full battery, but we've been recording for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
More, 2.5 hours.
So, yeah, no, I can't even remember what I was going to say, but don't if you see something you don't like, don't abuse the people online.
No, that's right. Just which we didn't abuse them online.
No, we just said it to ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's a great choice. And superhero movies were going to feature on my thing, but they didn't end up doing it because of the reasons I'm going to tell you right now with my number 2.
All right, get into it.
Again, we're in the horror movie area here.
Oh, we're in the horror movie area.
We're talking 1978's
The
very
Exorcist.
own. No, not The Exorcist. Although that is an honourable mention.
Okay.
We're talking Dawn of the Dead. George A. Romero's
Dawn of the Dead. I don't think I've seen this one. I've only seen the remake.
You only seen the remake,
which is a good remake.
Good movie. That's like 2004.
But man, Dawn of the Dead. What a property.
The whole zombie thing for us, we were obviously we didn't grow up in the times of George A. Romero sort of creating the zombie genre. But we grew up in the time where there was the zombie renaissance, where every movie started to become zombie movies. Every property brought in zombies in some capacity.
Yeah.
Whether that was Call of Duty, Call of Duty zombies. They had the Undead Nightmare, Red Dead Redemption had a zombie mode, essentially another game that was based on zombies. We had The Walking Dead, which was one of the big proponents in the renaissance of zombies. So we weren't around for this, but it was that sort of time that sparked my interest to go back and watch all the old
zombie movies.
Zombie movies. Now, I had seen Night of the Living Dead before, which was the original, like George A. Romero's very first, which is a great movie to go back and watch. It is a really good movie, but it's not as enjoyable as Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead is a movie which, at the time, especially you, me, all our mates, friend of the show, Stewie.
We're all into zombie movies at that. Zombies, just in general.
And our goal was to make a zombie movie. That was a big goal for a long time, and to use our school to be like, this is where the zombie outbreak starts.
Yeah.
We're going to use this space to... So that's one of the reasons that this movie is so important to me. So this is, just to give a bit of a preface of why I love this so much, this is a movie, again, that I've watched many times, a countless amount of times, but it's also a movie that I've watched twice with the director's commentary going.
Oh.
So I've watched the whole movie with the director's commentary going on in the background. And the reason I loved it so much was because in the 70s, a lot of the stuff, if not all of the stuff that they did in there was practical. All the zombie effects, all the kills, all the way they were able to use, a sledgehammer and smack it on someone's head and that guy didn't die there and there, right? Tom Savini, who is the guy behind all the makeup, behind all the stunt coordinator, all those sorts of things, he was just the jack of all trades to get things working. Yeah. They talk a lot about what he did and how he did it, how he made it all work. And that was so fascinating to me, especially because we wanted to make a zombie movie ourselves.
Yeah.
And I was like, so all you need to do is...
I got the answers, bro.
Yeah, 100%. It was the cheat code. Like this movie was the cheat code. But the way that they were able to not just do that, but create an enjoyable story about this group of survivors who are just trying to, figure out what's going on and get to the next stage, and they find themselves in a shopping mall. And, there's a whole, all the zombie movies, they have there's some social commentary going on, and the fact that, at that time,
all you heads are just looking at your papers. Put your head up and smell the roses.
I told you about that zombie movie with Samuel Jackson.
No.
Well, it's like sort of like a movie where these people download this new app on their phone and they all become like mutated things. And it's just like, this is, we shouldn't look at our phones as much. This is sort of social commentary on that. But essentially the social commentary was around, what's the word I'm talking about? When they like to purchase things. Materialism and, and the fact that shopping malls were going to take over, because everywhere had a shopping mall at that stage, right? Shopping and being in that space, it was the big thing. But again, this is a movie which all the characters are great, including all the background characters that come in. Like, for example, there's a scene, there's a bit where this motorbike gang come into the shopping mall, and they've just been going around terrorizing people and stealing people's stuff. But they go into there and they're just smacking zombies. They're driving around inside the mall, like on their bikes. They're running around smacking zombies. It's as I was saying, the characters in that, it's just, you get to that bit, it's some levity, but it's also like these guys are a real threat. You're feeling all these different emotions. As a zombie movie, I still think that even though it's old and, some of the effects, they just look like, in fact, some of the people who are zombies are not even, they haven't even got makeup on. They're just in the crowd because they just had to make up numbers. Tom Savini, who is the guy that I said was the makeup artist, he features about 4 or 5 times in the movie because he's one of the only guys that could do the stunts. So he would just do the stunts of like getting hit by a car. That's and hilarious. It'd just be him. It's him. That's the funny thing. But in motion, you don't, right? In motion, it becomes part of the story. It is one of the more enjoyable zombie movies that I've ever watched, regardless of where, like if it was, that's the reason why it makes it so timeless. That's the reason why I can watch it today and still enjoy it, is because it's fun. It's fun. It is scary. There are some horrifying moments, but it is a fun movie, which makes you realize why the zombie genre today is so popular and so well used. And that's my number 2.
That's amazing. That's amazing. As you were saying about that, I was thinking, man, I really don't have. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't watch many movies at all.
Yeah,
I was not a movie man. I wasn't going home and watching Hot Rod after school every night.
7 days, bro.
7 days, bro. 7 days.
Like, you got to think about that. I've watched that 7 times at least.
That's wild.
And that's just that 1 week.
That's wild. That's wild. And thinking, but I haven't watched a lot of old movies because, especially when I was starting to watch movies in my teenage years, I was thinking, bro, I don't want to watch anything before 2000.
Yeah.
Because, you get different special effects. It's not as good. That's what I was thinking at that time. But my number 1 movie is a movie from back in a day.
Yeah.
It's definitely not from the 2000s.
Bro, it has to be what I said it was.
What?
Has to be Blade Runner.
Right, it has to be. It has to be. What else is it going to be?
Has to be, right.
What else is it going to be? I think it's 1979. I think that's when it came out.
I feel it was in the 80s.
Maybe it was 89. I feel like it was in something in 9.
No, I don't know, or you might be right. 1982.
It's not a 9.
There's a 9.
There is a 9 there, so we'll call that. Okay, 1982. So it was close to the the 70s, but also in the 80s. And look, this movie this is just ultimate sci-fi. Mm-hmm. This is ultimate science fiction. This is one of the most science fiction movies that ever did. That ever fictioned.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that makes this movie so good in my eyes is the world that they've built. Every scene where there is more than just Harrison Ford and some other heads in there, when he's at the noodle stand, when he's in the, weird underground like entertainment area, it's so lived in. It's so everyone looks like they're meant to be there, and this is just their life. They went to some community, and this was it. Yeah. This was what they found, and they just thought they'd set a movie there.
And that's what makes Blade Runner, but also a lot of these movies where they are able to create like a universe that works, is the fact that you can make it look cool. You can have flying cars and whatnot. But if it doesn't look like that actually works in that society and those people,
Yeah.
you know, because the reality is when we go into the future, there's going to be a whole lot of people in one space, and there's going to be a whole lot of pollution. There's going to be a whole lot of, you know, whatever we see in Blade Runner, a whole lot of that's going to be going on. So the fact that they not only looked into the future and saw what could probably happen, but also they created the world within that story that actually worked, and the characters seemed like they were, you know, the character that's working at the noodle stand, I know that they interact.
Yeah.
But actually seemed like that man has been at that noodle stand for 20 years.
That's right. It's everything fits so nicely, and you've got all the hustle and bustle of that, and then you've got the slow, you know, it's just him in his apartment, and it's all dark. There's hardly any lights. There's mess everywhere, and it's just him, and he's, you know, trying to work out these cases and whatever.
And he's pulling out teeth.
He's pulling.
You know, he's like got his finger in his mouth. And he's like trying to pull out things. He's like spitting when he gets beaten up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking, pulling out teeth.
Yeah.
And this is number one, just because it's an amazing movie, and it brought my love to science fiction to the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
But I also watched it last week, and I watched it in a thunderstorm.
Oh man!
Which was the perfect timing, the absolute perfect time to watch this movie, because it's like perpetually raining.
Yes.
And the thing that I didn't like is I watched the theatrical release, which has got a bit of a voiceover narration from Harrison Ford, which I think it detracts from the movie, because a lot of it is just him explaining kind of what's happening, as in, oh, I thought about this, but number one, I don't think you really need it. And number two, I think you can gather a lot of what is necessary to be gathered from the scenarios that he's in, and just from the cinema. I think it adds a bit too much dialogue. And
the important thing about movies like that is you don't, as a lover of that property, you don't need to know everything then and there, because that's how vast the world is.
That's right. And it's a movie that leaves it open at the end. You go, oh, what was he a replicant? Was he not? And I mean, there's just so many things. It's as much of it's a very big scope kind of, you know, you're in a big city, there's big things happening. It's a very sparse movie, I think. As in, there's not a lot of action set pieces. It's kind of a bit slow moving, but you've got to really think about the pieces that you've been given. And I think the pieces that you are given really help you build the world even more.
Yeah.
Because you're going, oh man, because they're talking about all these off-world colonies, and you're going, man, off-world colonies, what are they doing there? What's going on here? There's always ads to say, oh, go to off-world, that's where you want to be and whatever. And
but also, if you sped through that, say if you didn't take it slowly, if you sped through that, then that whole world that you've built doesn't matter anymore.
No, that's right.
You've just lost everything that you've built, which makes that movie not as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't talked about this a lot we haven't talked about this at all throughout any of the movies that we talked about, but great quotes and iconic lines.
Yeah.
And this has got one of the best of all time, the teardrops in the rain.
Yes.
That line where...
At the end, I can't remember. I don't even remember.
I know his name's like Rutger Hauer is his like real name, where he's sort of just saying, I think the idea is how important it would be to just be able to die, or like, you know, to live the life of a human and be able to live a life, and then you've got to a point where you can say, that's it for me.
Yeah.
Whereas a replicant, they just live and they work and they do things because they're...
That's right. Because they've been created for essentially slave labor.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, you know, Harrison Ford is a Blade Runner. So he is there to kill these escapees, which is that man's, and then a few other ones. And the finale is Harrison Ford he's just had his fingers broken, and he's running from this replicant who is literally about to die because they have an expiry date.
Right, okay.
On this...
That just expired for you?
Nah, 10%. We got 10%.
So I'm going to give you this one.
Yeah, pass that over here. We do what we do to get things done. And so he's chasing him, and at the end, he can literally just kill him. Harrison Ford is about to fall off the building.
Yeah.
And he catches him, and he brings him up, and he's just sitting there, and that's when he does the tears in the rain. because he just realized that, bro, I'm just gonna die. What's the point? And he's just, I think he's just realizing that all life is important.
Right. Which is wild. Which is
wild.
a nice sentiment.
I've got to look into it a little bit more.
But you've also read into some of the comics as well, right?
Yeah, so that's
some
what I've been
materials.
reading, the comics, and the comics are amazing, which obviously won't get into.
But also, why not? Like this is the similar issue that Star Wars and things fold into, is they have this world that is so diverse and built, and they're like, oh, we're just going to focus on the same stories. We're going to focus on the same ideas. Why not just focus on other stories and other ideas within that universe? Like if the universe is so cool, and I'm assuming that's what the comic books do.
The comics are, there's different Blade Runners. They follow different Blade Runners, and amazing.
Like as much as Harrison Ford's character is a great character, what's his name? Deckard. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much depth. You'd want to know more.
There's really cool stories in the comics which go pretty wild into the world. But all right, number one for you. Oh, and also the soundtrack in this movie is amazing. And absolutely amazing.
Also, Blade Runner 2049 is a great movie.
Oh
as well.
that was. I had. Should I do 2049 and Blade Runner as like but I thought no, 2049 is amazing. That's an honorable mention.
Yeah,
that's also one of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, the score in this movie, and also just the ability that they made these cities, and they made it in 1982.
Yeah,
and they look real.
Oh, 100. Yeah, no, that's right.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your number one?
Can you guess what it is? Like knowing me for many years.
If you say it, I'll probably go, oh, of course. But
if you say it, of course, that's your number one because you just said it.
You just said it.
Mine is 1975's very own Jaws.
Jaws. Okay. Yeah.
So, now this is a movie which you do not put in the background. This is a movie where you sit down and you watch it.
This is what an amazing movie.
Now, again, this is a movie that almost, it's the backstory behind making this movie is a movie in itself. The fact that the shark didn't work, the fact that the shark kept sinking, and that's the reason why you get no shark at the start and you get just this thing that's underwater.
Which makes it better.
Exactly right? So you get this ominous thing that's coming that is stalking that is stalking the island. They're stalking Amity, right? And essentially putting up the middle finger, or should I say the middle fin, to Chief Brody. You get that all at the start, this build up until this awesome climactic scene. But that was the reason that happened, was because of all the stuff that happened in the background. They were going over budget. People were hating Steven Spielberg. They were thinking, this guy's the worst. This guy just keeps doing this. And then, obviously, in the end, it all came together. Everyone was like, hey, bro, we love Steven Spielberg. Give him all the movies.
Give him all the movies. All right, stop giving him movies. That's enough now.
Yeah. What do you mean he's doing West Side Story? We don't want West Side Story. We've got West Side Story. We don't need it again. So, for me, I talked about it a little bit in Parasite. This is a movie that has no genre, in my opinion. This is a movie that fits into so many different things, and you can sit down and approach it in different ways. I can sit down there and think, hey, this is a movie about 3 guys going fishing, and I can enjoy that because that's what it becomes.
It's about 3 guys going fishing.
And, they don't always see eye to eye, but they end up loving each other through sharing stories of their vulnerabilities and the times in which they were left with not only physical but emotional scars. The scene... I'll talk about those scenes in a bit, but you can take it as a horror movie, which it is. It's scary. That theme is scary. Regardless of when you watch it, I feel if you watched it now, if you watched it back when it first came out, you would not want to go in the water for at least a couple of weeks, if not. I mean, you don't want to go in the water. I
still don't want to go in the water. I was thinking that. I think that movie cemented my fear of deep water.
Yeah, that movie made me scared to go in my pool at home.
Yeah. I remember going to your pool and going, bro, it could be a shark in here.
There could be a Jaws in here.
I don't know. I don't know what these Greek people do,
We're so bougie, we just got live fish and animals just in our pool. It could be taken as a crime. Like it could be as a thriller in the fact that this is Chief Brody trying to. He's the new chief of Amity Island. He's trying to win over the love of and the support of the people there, but also trying to figure out what and who is killing all these people and how can we stop it?
And he's scared of the ocean, isn't he?
He's scared of the ocean because he never grew up with it.
See, that's another thing that this movie has gone for. You know, this guy's got to confront his fears. Yeah. Literally, he's got to confront them.
And this is a trope that sort of Spielberg made, that Spielberg really cemented, and it became a thing that we still see today, is that the main character is not some brooding
everyman.
He's the everyman, just doing.
I know.
Just figuring out what he needs to do.
I know, because the first time I watched this film, and probably the only time I've watched this film,
like film studies,
was in critical film studies in year 10.
Yeah, and
I think it was a 2-parter because our lessons didn't go for that long.
No, that's right. We would have watched it over like five bloody and because we would have been stopped. We would have watched it first, and we would have been stopping and pausing and talking.
Now look here, see that moustache? That's the moustache of an everyman. Does he even have a moustache? No. Don't think so.
No.
See that he doesn't have a white picket fence.
Well, the white picket fence, is meant to be like teeth, right?
Bro.
And also
that in critical film studies.
They didn't teach you that in critical film studies. No, the white picket fence wasn't meant to be teeth. There's the fences that go across the.
They're broken.
Yeah, they're meant to be like the jagged teeth of, and that opening scene. Is that a plane out there?
I think it's rain.
It's raining right now.
I think so.
That's wild. So. The opening scene of the girl running out into the water and going for a swim, and it's obviously something that she does a lot, because no one's just running out, in the middle of what looks like a meeting of the hippies and going out for a naked swim.
Yeah,
unless you've done that before.
Yeah,
and she goes out there. That scene is horrifying because you can't tell what's going on. You just hear her screams. Her body's being thrown in all these different directions, right? This is to start off the movie, Vincent. Let me tell you that. Her body's being thrown in all these different directions, and then she finally succumbs and goes down into the water, and you never hear her again. And you just hear the dinging of the boy. Just that ding.
It is a top tier movie. Spielberg, bro, he's made some good ones. Like, he's done all right.
He's done all right. But to start off with that, and then you're thinking, okay, what am I getting myself into here? Then you go in and you meet Brody, you meet his family, who's the chief. He goes to that thing and he says, we got to shut down these beaches, but it's the 4th of July. People are going to be coming in from everywhere to come to Amity and to use the water. How are you going to shut down the beach? Because then that stops everything else. The character of the mayor, this skeevy mayor who's just wanting to get money. He doesn't care about anything else. He's wanting to get money until it affects him. There's this scene where he's in the hospital when he's saying, my son was in the water as well. Even though his son was not affected by anything, like the son was just in the water, he finally realizes when it hits home that this shark is not going to stop unless we stop it, right? Then they go out on their
3 dudes on the fishing boat. They're just going fishing.
They're going for a booze cruise, right? And you've got Brody, who's the police officer who hates the water, who doesn't know anything about boats, doesn't know anything about fish, sharks, whales, nothing. You've got Hooper, who's the marine biologist. He knows everything that is there to know about these animals. And then you've got, I almost forgot his name. I think it's Quint. Yeah, Quint.
The fisherman.
The fisherman who says, I don't need fancy technology. All I need is my harpoon and some barrels, and I'm going to take down this shark. And part of the great things about that part that part of the movie is that they're on this boat together. There's no one else there. There's parts where they hate each other and at each other's throats, and there's parts where they're together. And there's the scene that we talked about before where they're sharing their scars.
Yeah.
And then Quint shares the story about him in the USS Indianapolis. I think that's what it is, US Indianapolis, and it's like the boat that got taken down, but no one knew that they were there. And he talks about himself in the water and the tiger sharks just coming up and taking them one by one. Oh. All his crewmates. Everything about this movie, there's tension within that story, the dialogue that they create, the actors that they use to bring out this dialogue and create these characters. Everything was just done so perfectly that this movie will never go out of fashion.
No. Never. It's timeless. It's a timeless movie.
You couldn't make, and you shouldn't make a a remake or a reboot of it because there's no need to.
That's right.
They did everything that they needed to do in this one movie. Yes, there is Jaws 2, which I sort of enjoy. And I do enjoy watching the other Jaws because like they're hilarious.
Is it like Son of Jaws?
I wish, man, that'd be hilarious. No, but there is a Jaws in which it essentially is like a robot sort of thing. And I don't know. Anyway, it's wild. But even though there's a part where the shark is on the boat and you can see it's not a real, like you can see it's fake.
Yeah.
Because they've set it up so well, you don't care about it.
It doesn't matter, no. Because you're in the moment, you're terrified. You're going, what the hell is happening?
Yeah. That's why Jaws is my number one. And let me just quickly, now I'm worried that I didn't say Quint. I'm thinking, is it Flint? Is it Quint?
Flint?
I mean, you wouldn't know because you just watched this movie once. But
yeah. Man, you got some real classics on your list.
You know why I got some classics on my list, Vincent?
Why?
Because these are the movies. Yeah, it is Quint. These are the movies that made me enjoy movies.
Yeah.
These are the movies that I went and I sat down and I was like, I mean, Jaws is just, it's always, there's nothing that's going to overtake it. In saying that, maybe Parasite might overtake it one day because Parasite's a great movie.
Yeah, Parasite
hasn't made it on my list. Dawn of the Dead has, and I think a lot of them have value to me in regards to like growing up and experiencing.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead came at a time when we were wanting to make our own movies. You know, The Mummy is just a classic. It doesn't matter what part of your life you watch that.
Bit of Brendan Fraser. Can't go wrong.
Nothing better than Brendan. And also, majority of them horror movies or horror elements.
Yeah. I mean, you're a horror man.
I'm a horror man. I'm a horrific man.
Yeah. Horrific.
But Vincent,
That's
we could sit here and talk about this all day. My neck is hurting. I'm hungry.
I'm starving. I've got to get home.
Dude, you said you're going to be home at 1, bro.
Yeah,
That's not going to happen.
I'm not going to be home at 1. All right. Well, if you're watching this, if you got here, just let us know. If you enjoyed this, what else you want to see? Because, like, bro, we'll do anything.
We will do anything.
Except for reaction videos.
We'll play Squid Games. Like, we'll be in Squid Games. That's the thing right now.
Okay, so you can find us YouTube if you're listening to this. Otherwise, then we've got a podcast. Check into that. That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah. Well, this is it.
Yeah. Patreon, if you feel like supporting the show, and you also get a whole bunch of free content. Sorry.
Free content.
Yeah, after you pay, you get free content.
Once you
paid.
That's right.
Anyway, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We put things out there occasionally.
It's done.
And we'll talk soon.
Talk soon.